All right, so first thing is we're gonna get our thread ready. So you're going to get a good amount of thread. I would probably use at least maybe a foot of thread, and then go ahead and cut it where you want. Also put it back. There we go. All right, so now I have my thread and I need to separate it. Right now it has, I think, 4 or 6 strings, I can't remember, but we need 2 strings. So I used to start at the beginning to get my thread, but now I go kind of starting at the center. So I'm gonna pull it from the center, and I'm gonna use my nail. This is a little difficult, but I'm gonna use my nail to try to separate, and you kind of see the different strands, and you need 2 strands. So try not to get 3, try to just get 2. So let me look really closely. I just kind of pull with my nails, and now you can see on my right hand, I have 2, right? So now I'm gonna try to pull. Sometimes a knot happens. Usually if I just pull lightly, it'll usually come apart. That one did break though. Oops. And so now I have 2 strands, and now I'm ready to make the knot. So I'm gonna do this a couple times to show you. There's a couple ways you could do it, but the way that I was taught is using my pointer finger. So to make a knot, I place my thread on my pointer finger like this. I pinch it with my thumb, and so now it shouldn't pull when I pull on it, okay? So you're kind of like pinching the thread like this. Then I take the thread and I wrap it, not super tight, but I wrap it around my finger. And when I wrap it, I do want to kind of cross over like that to make sure it doesn't like come undone. So I'm going to wrap it over, and I'm going to do it maybe twice. You could even do it 3 times. So now when I let go, this stays there. It doesn't come off. Now this is the hard part. So I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm going to roll it off my finger. So I'm not just pushing, but if I'm holding tight like this and I push with my thumb, I'm also gonna like come to this other side and pull that over, and I'm rolling it off. If I'm careful, it'll look like that, kind of like a lasso. And then I take all of it, kind of starting at the beginning, and I pull it pretty tight. And now I have a very long knot, but that's the knot, okay? And if I think that this is a little too long, I can cut it a little bit. I just gotta make sure that I don't cut my knot, but there's my knot. Okay. Now let's talk about threading the needle. You have to get this thread into this tiny little eye. So the first thing that you have to do is, if your thread is looking a little bit messy like this, I usually take my scissors, and these scissors aren't very sharp, so usually I have to use the back, and I cut. And now you can see it's a lot more even, and I'll probably be able to put it in. So I'm gonna show you the 2 ways that you can thread this needle. I'm gonna show you the way that I was taught, and then I'm gonna show you a way that is a little bit easier if you need some help. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this is kind of weird and you wanna have clean hands for this, but I'm actually going to put this part in my mouth, like I'm gonna lick it, and then I'm going to kind of press it out like that so that it's a little bit easier to see, and then I'll go ahead and like thread it through like that. But there's another way. Okay, so another way you can do it is using these little flosser things. And what you have to do is you have to pinch them really good between your fingers like that. And you're gonna try to stick them through the eye. There you go. And now I have it stuck through like this. Okay. So I'm gonna put my thread through the big loop like that. And then I'm going to pull this way, okay? And now it is through the hole, and I can take off this extra thing. And now you have it threaded. So you want a little bit of a tail, probably like this much. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to sew using our needle and thread. So we have it in our hand. We are going to cover the eye with our middle finger and our thumb like this. And usually I can hold it like this, or I can just take my pointer finger off. So I'm kind of holding it like that. And now you need to decide where you're going to start. Usually it's best to start somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna start kind of right here first. And what you're doing is you need to poke your needle through one of these holes that has already been made. Try not to poke it in the middle or somewhere that doesn't have a little hole. Okay, so what I do is I kind of hold it like this, and sometimes I just kind of pick around, and you can kind of tell where it's gonna go. Like I can kind of see it's poking up a little bit right there. So if that's where I'm trying to get it, that's where I'm gonna start, and then I'll pull it through. So then I take my other hand and I hold it a little bit like this. And then before the thread comes out, I'll get that eye part and I'll hold it like I normally do. And then I'll pull it this way. And that knot should protect your thread. Okay, now it's time to make the X. So the X is gonna be right here. So it started right here at the bottom of the X, and now I need to go right there. Okay, so going this way is a lot easier. Just poke it through, collect it, make sure you cover the eye with your fingers again, pull it out, and now I need to come up right here to make that other X, the other side of the X. So I'm kind of poking around, poking around. If I poke there, that's not where I want to go. I need to go a little bit closer. There we go. I'm gonna pull it out. I'm covering the eye now, coming out this way. I don't need to pull it super tight. I just pull it kind of tight, and then I need to go back right there. And now I have one X. And as you get going, at first it's gonna take you a lot of time, but then you'll get really, really good and it'll be a lot easier. So I have one X, but what if I need to do another X? What if I need to do an X above this X or beside? So let's try doing beside. If I'm doing one beside, that means I need to come up through this hole. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna poke around, poke around. I'm gonna try to find it, and there it is. Whoops. And I'm gonna pull it through, and then I'm gonna go back and do that. Poke around, poke around. Poke, 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 poke. Sorry, I'm a little far away. There we go. Poke through, and then go back. So there's another X. There you go. Now, let's say that I want to go above here. I always start on the left when I do my X's, but I just went right there. And if I go back through, it's going to undo my X. So you don't want that to happen. So if you need to go above and you just put your thread through there, instead of going there, right here, I'm just going to go across from it, just right up there. And should be fine now. Poke, poke, poke. And I'm gonna go back down. There we go. So it started the same way, and now I'll go this way and come back. Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, let's pretend that I am done with my stitches, or that my thread is getting too short. Usually I stop when my thread is about, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 inches long. I don't like to stop when it's too small. So let's say that I'm done and I need more thread. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip my piece over. And there's a couple ways that you could do a knot. The way that I was taught was to go back and go through, like poke underneath one of your strings like this, and just go through the back of it and come back and do the same thing again, where you're just kind of lifting one of those strings and just going back through. And I like to do it maybe 3 times in the same place. And then it's actually secure, and you just need to cut it now. I like to cut it a little bit far away, not on, it's not super close to anything. There you go. And now it's protected and you're fine. So that was how to make a knot.